Oh, the Australians are cheating to get VRS points. And we've played 2 lands in an entire season. And apparently that is stealing a fucking slot from China or from Mongolia. And this, by the way, before all of the Chinese tournaments and before all the Mongolian tournaments, everyone's freaking out like, there's going to be 3 Australian teams at the majors. Like, no, you fucking idiot. You haven't even played the lands. Why are you getting upset about this? There's still 3 fucking Chinese lands and 2 Mongolian lands. Just give it 2 weeks.
I fucking love the Australian fan base. I fucking love this shit, bro.
This is what people watch Geographically Challenged for.
Fuck these fucking guys for fucking playing land Counter-Strike.
Shout out to Mav. Mav's like that guy that's like, you know what? I'm happy to lose $100,000 of my own money just so that these guys can potentially have a crumb of a VRS point once.
Literally.
Here we are, episode number 101 of Geographically Challenged. We're in the big boy numbers now, guys, and shit is getting serious because we're getting into major times. So a lot to touch on this episode, just like Pilski and I over the last weekend when Pilski was staying in my house on my couch. Anyway, Bleh, do you feel like you've missed out on anything by not joining the boys at the Dfrag Wildcard?
I feel like I missed out a lot. Like I missed out on some fights. It seems to have happened. I love fights. I love watching fights. I love watching fights. And clearly, you guys got a thing going amongst each other. You're touching each other, loving each other, and I just kind of feel left out and lonely, man. It's like a lonely life all the way here in Bangalore, India.
Yep.
Yeah, it sucks to be me sometimes.
Yep.
Not always, though.
Look, either way, there's definitely a lot that we can sink our teeth into with regard to that defrag land. So that will be something that we will be touching on in this episode. Like I said, it's going to be a pretty busy episode. The major cutoff is coming up on April 6th, which is a little bit over a week away, maybe a couple of weeks away, basically 2 weeks from here, which means there's a lot of tournaments that are happening now or in that 2-week period, and probably the next episode will come after, I would imagine, that those invites have gone out. So there's quite a bit to sort of dive into with that. We also haven't done an episode in a few weeks, so we've got to catch up on ESL Pro League, which was Mongolz and Semper Fi. There was the CAC Qualifier, where Ground Zero started World War III with China and got into a fight on Twitter with Rotterdam. Obviously, the Dfrag Wildcard and the ANZC LAN, all the implications of that, the VRS discussion around there. The punch-on that happened, was it really a punch-on? Well, we'll get into all of that discussion. And of course, a bit of a ranking update ahead of again, April 6th, when that ranking will go out for the major. But I think let's just dive into it, guys. We don't have a huge amount of time necessarily, and there's a lot to cover, so we'll get straight into it. I don't think we need to spend too long here, actually, on the ESL Pro League discussion. This was a little while ago now. It's almost irrelevant at this point, but I think it just bears mentioning to quickly touch on how Semper Fi and the Mongolz did. Mongolz, 5th to 8th. Very standard. I really don't feel like there's anything to even say. You know, they did pretty okay in the group stage. They lost to Navi in the playoffs, who went on to be the eventual winners of the tournament. But to me, this kind of felt like just, I don't know, a bit of a kind of moment for me. What I'm a little bit more interested in actually was, I suppose, Semper Fi, right? Because it was the first time we got to see them actually playing internationally, and they didn't do very well. So where do you guys want to go with this? You guys can take it where you want to.
I just don't want to... Here's a problem. You look at what's happening right now as we're recording this. It is, I think, like day 4 of last Rotterdam, right?
Yes.
And we've seen quite a number of upsets. We see Falcons lose. We've seen Spirit lose yesterday to Paravision. We've seen all these really cool upsets. And here's a cool thing. I can look at these upsets and be like, all right, and I can point a few fingers and whatnot. For EPL, apart from the playoffs, everything was online.
Yeah.
And even though there were upsets, for me, it's just going to be a huge caveat. A few years ago, sure, I can read a little bit more into it, but in this modern day of Counter-Strike, where lands are so aplenty and EPL is regressing into online, I just don't want to read too much into it. And I agree with you. I think for Mongolz, reaching the playoffs was a bare minimum, and they managed to pull it off. I think Crowberzera, once again, proving that he is more than capable. Is he Senzu yet? I don't think so. We'll talk about that a little bit more in detail later on. And with Semper Fi, man, it just seems like the same old story. Because I could give a caveat, be like, EPL, they just had a bad time, but it just been struggling overall. So in the overall context of how they've been suffering, not just in EPL, but down under as well. It just seems like a trend that at this point is kind of set in stone, that, this is what we're going to get from this particular team with this particular iteration. And I hate to say it, but, I feel like this is as high as this 5-man lineup's going to get.
Yeah, potentially. I mean, the one thing I will say is there was a pretty good map against Paravision, that 13-11. I remember, I think I co-streamed this game, and I was watching that, and that was obviously the first game that they played at ESL Pro League. I was like, you know what? that's actually not too bad. Maybe they can do something here. And then obviously I think a draw against 3Max is a pretty tough draw. That's going to be always a tough game. But I suppose a very embattled Liquid, again, still not going to be an easy team for an ANZ-based roster to beat. But that certainly felt like somewhat of a missed opportunity for them, particularly because that last map, 13-9, things might have gone a little bit differently. It might have been a win for them, and who knows. And then we might have had some more positive things to say. But I actually don't want to get too far into the Semper Fi discussion right now, because I think that ties a lot into what we're going to talk about later with the Dfrag wildcard stuff. I just wanted to very quickly touch on these EPL results. And yeah, Pilski, unless you've got something that you want to sort of dive into here with regard to Mongolz
the only thing I would say is I felt like it was somewhat of a weak field. Like, this was an event that was missing a lot of teams. And yes, it was online, but Mongolz didn't manage to make it further than the 5th to 8th, which I was kind of surprised by. I honestly look at the field that they have there, and yes, they did end up getting knocked out by the team that won the event. So clearly Na'Vi was on a bit of a heater this event. But I almost kind of wish they would have done a little bit better than 5th to 8th in an event like this. But at the same time, just is what it is. At least they made top 8 and they didn't bomb out.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's move on from that one, because I think it's one of the least juicy topics on this episode. We'll actually get into, I feel like, a little bit more of the meat and potatoes here with the CAC Championship Qualifier, because this was kind of like the bee's knees of Asian Counter-Strike, right? Like, anyone who's anyone, apart from the Mongols.
Like, Blazing Beavers, man. How did they bomb out 13 to 6? I couldn't believe it, bro.
Okay, quickly.
Your favorite team.
Without looking, name three members of Blazing Beavers.
I don't fucking know. Who
the fuck is that?
I don't know who they are.
Papa Doxy, Rats, John Smith, Tex, and Snokey.
Okay.
Dude, I don't know. Do I know Rats? No, I don't know Rats either. No. I don't know any of these fucks.
The only one I've heard of is Papa Doxy. I don't know, like...
I think you're thinking of a Raz. Bleh.
Yeah, you would be. You've not heard of Rats. I can guarantee you've never heard of that guy, because I've not heard of that guy, so
all right,
there's zero chance you have. Yeah, so...
Sick name, guys.
What do we
Sick name.
think about
Steel
this?
Helmet?
What do we feel about this? I mean, my big storyline for this event is Tyloo and Live Vision in particular qualified despite being ass and shit and poop at Counter-Strike, but still qualified top 2.
Very eloquent.
Tyloo, pretty good. My big storyline for this one had to be FlyQuest getting knocked out by Alter Ego, who has a 27-year-old Pakistani player that was fucking farming this event. Pokemon was going crazy. I'm surprised I didn't see Tea Time just growing crazy on Twitter saying that Pakistan is the greatest Asia CS country. Because
Pokemon's always
where was he? Where was he?
He was the problem, right? They don't get visas, not allowed to travel. But dude, Pokemon's always been fucking legit. Like, and he was also coaching the Indian team, right?
Yeah.
God's
Reign or whatever.
God's Reign, yes. He was coaching them as well. He stood in for them. It's just an unfortunate reality when we talk about Indian Counter-Strike and how rough we kind of have it. It's mainly our fault, right? We just don't have, there's just a lack of talent, lack of discipline, lack of everything. But when it comes to Pakistan, it's just rough for them because they're paying to any, apart from Dubai, from Asia, it's fucking rough for them, 100 plus. And on top of them, for them, opportunities are rare and travel is a pain in the ass. You're going to ask Tea Time, right? So for Pokemon to just rock up and pop off the way he did, especially when you got people like Bented and Boros on that lineup. I think it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Good shit.
Yeah, I mean, definitely Alter Ego is one of the storylines of this event. I think they're probably like the surprise storyline in the sense like on the positive side, because there was a lot of unwelcome surprises, I think is fair to say, and we can get into that in a second. But at least for Alter Ego, I think we all would have gone into this going, Alter Ego, who the fuck are those guys? Another just like mixed team that they put together. You know, they've for probably the last like 12 to 24 months just been not quite a bum team, but pretty much a bum team. Like there's been kind of like moments where you've gone, oh, I'm interested in Alter Ego, and then they've like literally just gone last in a qualifier, and you've got, I'm not interested in them again. But they've put together a very weird roster here, and now all of a sudden it's like apparently they're good.
It's literally even back to like, you could extend it to NKT, where it's like, bro, I've seen so many lineups where I'd be like, oh, yo, Zion, Bentet, like this cunt, like, you know, like some sick fucking who's who of Asian CS on one team, dog shit. But like, this is the team that actually top four.
But the thing is, like, it's actually,
what the fuck is this?
In a way, it actually doesn't surprise me that much because like Paul Bandana, I remember when he played, we casted him, maybe not we, actually, I think I was the only one there for that Extremes Land. That was the 2 years ago Extremes Land. Paul Bandana won that with Exo Esports, and he was like kind of farming. Like he's obviously just good. And then Boros is Boros, and you know what he does sometimes when he's in Asia. Doesn't actually look like he's had an insane event here, but like, I think you slot him into any team and you're to an extent kind of going to get some value. Pokemon obviously had a really good event, and then, you know, you've got Gratisfaction and Bentet, and you still kind of go, well, decent players, right? And apparently Gratisfaction is in-game leading as well, this lineup, I think I heard. So I don't know, like, is this like a one event wonder? Did they just have a great run, like a honeymoon sort of period where they've just put the team together and it's kind of worked? Will it be a team that we're realistically talking about again in 6 months when the next major qualification comes around?
This lineup's not going to be together.
No.
I'm going to even give you a date by June 30th.
June 30th. So that's about 3 months. 3 months. We'll give them 3 months.
Tops.
Yeah. No, I mean, props obviously to Alter Ego, but the issue obviously for them is they still didn't actually qualify. So, you know, they had a good run. They knocked out some big names, but they didn't actually qualify. So they basically just fucked it for everyone. Really, is ultimately the thing.
I respect that. I respect it. Yeah.
But I love teams that play spoiler, especially, I mean, it sucks because I actually had some hope and some faith in FlyQuest. And I've been feeling good about FlyQuest lately, but getting rolled by Alter Ego is definitely a big X in my book.
Well, that's where I wanted to go with this. I was going to say, speaking of fucking it, FlyQuest definitely fucked it in this qualifier, and they may have potentially fucked their chances to qualify for the major as a result of that. Now, I don't know necessarily that they've dropped far enough, but
I think they're still making it.
They're still okay for now, but there's still a lot of tournaments that teams have yet to play, and I think they're in a much more susceptible position than what they were coming into this qualifier. And I will say that is the same as well for Morningstar and the Huns as well. If you remember, if we would go back, like, maybe even like a couple of weeks, Morningstar was looking like they almost might be a shoo-in as one of the teams to qualify to the major. And all of a sudden, they've just absolutely nosedived. They have tanked series after series against the likes of Linvision. They just lost another one in, I think, the Loop Cup, the XSE Loop Cup, which is happening at the moment. The final of that tonight, I think, is Linvision versus Rare Atom, if I remember correctly. Like I said, there's so many of these tournaments happening at the moment. But Morningstar fumbled the bag. I don't know. They were looking like the truth for a little while, and all of a sudden they're just completely out of the race, it feels like. Huns also were in a good spot, came into this tournament, didn't really do too well either. And then obviously, like we said, we have to talk about FlyQuest. I mean, a 2-0 loss to Chinggis Warriors, I would say is unacceptable, but like, it is an upper bracket game, so you can kind of say, Chinggis Warriors, they're a team that could surprise. When they're on, they're on. Tikwak's kind of crazy. We sort of love to hate Chinggis Warriors, but we know that there's quite a high ceiling. So, okay, if you put everything together, maybe Chinggis Warriors can beat FlyQuest on their day. I wouldn't think it should happen regularly, but it did happen. Not the end of the world. They go down to the lower bracket. They're going to sweep their way through the lower bracket, make it through to the consolidation final, qualify anyway. But short of a win against, a bum Rare Atom, who, by the way, they even actually got pushed by on Dust 2, and then a win against Fengdust. So Fengdust is kind of irrelevant for FlyQuest. Rare Atom, okay, decent win there. But you lose to Alter Ego, and in OT on Dust 2, like, it was a rough watch, man. Like, I don't know. I agree with what you said, Pilski. I had so much faith going into this. They did so well at, what was their last one that they played? Was it the Zinsai, the Z-Tech Masters? That's what it was. Watch them play Z-Tech Masters. We thought they looked good. I thought they would come into this qualifier and fucking own everybody.
Yeah, seriously. I thought FlyQuest was a cut above all these teams, to be honest. Like, I'm looking at this qualifier, I'm thinking it's Tyloo and FlyQuest, and everybody else is kind of irrelevant, to be honest. And that is not what happened at all.
No, certainly not. I don't know how many points they dropped. 53 points, which I guess it doesn't sound like a lot, but when you look at where the rankings are, if you would drop another 50 points here, all of a sudden you're really in striking distance of bottom 5, like getting dropped out of the top 5. So
I do have a question here. Like, again, it's hypothetical and might not really be trying to bat for FlyQuest, but if you assume those 2 matches they lost, like to Alter Ego and to Chinggis Warriors, if they were on LAN, do you think they lose?
Probably
I don't think so.
Not.
I don't think so.
Probably not.
Maybe,
but
maybe not.
I don't know. I think Chinggis are still pretty good on LAN. I don't know about Alter Ego, though, to be honest.
I mean, they are all LAN tested, every single one. I mean, not every single one, but like Boros, I'm looking at Pokemon is also LAN tested. Bentet, Grat,
I think
I'm just saying.
I think
I feel like FlyQuest would beat them pretty comfortably.
Probably. But then that also comes into, you have to start having that discussion of what are they choosing to play, right? Because they chose to play CAC, and as a result, that means they miss Dfrag because CAC ends on the 12th. They're in China playing this. By the way, they could have played this from Australia. It would have been less than ideal, obviously, because you'd been playing
from Perth.
Well, you'd probably have to play it from Brisbane to make Dfrag, unless you were in Group B and you could come in late and miss the first day because you don't play on the first day. That's possible. I don't know. That was like, I don't know if there was a conversation around that in the background. I don't know how any of this conversation would have potentially happened. But I know at one point there was obviously a consideration of, for FlyQuest, are we going to be playing Dfrag or are we going to be playing CAC? They ultimately chose CAC, which I think going into the event is not the incorrect call. But in hindsight, it was the incorrect call. Does that make sense? Like, they went into this event, they lost a lot of matches that they shouldn't have. They lost some significant VRS points. They didn't qualify for CAC, and they missed out on going to Dfrag, where now there's other competitors that are jostling for positions that have boosted the rankings. 192 points for Semper Fi, 165 for Thunder. Thunder have gone above FlyQuest in the Asia rankings. Again, we'll get into the Dfrag discussion in a little bit, but this is more centered around CAC right now for FlyQuest. Choosing to play in this, and, you know, obviously knowing that it's an online tournament, and all these conversations you want to have around online CS and whatnot, Bleh, you have an alternative. You have the alternative to go to Australia and play LAN, and they choose this. So
they chose knowing, you know, I mean, at least assuming that they should be.
I think they should have won it,
spots, right?
To be fair, but they didn't. So
that's the thing, though. Like, I'm looking at FlyQuest, I'm looking at the level of teams that they're losing to, and I'm thinking, like, are these teams that much better than Semper Fi or Thunder? Like, maybe. But, like, if you're FlyQuest, you probably have the aura to just stomp the Aussie teams on LAN if you played something like Dfrag, as opposed to, like, the volatility that is an Asian qualifier. But in terms of the level and the upset potential, I'm not sure that these teams are that much, like, are clearly better than the two top Aussie teams.
No, I mean, I think it's very much a hindsight Harry type situation where you look at it and go, they didn't do well in CAC, so they should have played Dfrag. It's like, was that an easy call to make before the fact? I don't know necessarily that is, because I think, again, like we would have assumed you would go into this qualifier and you'd kind of not walk your way through it, but worst case, you would qualify through the lower bracket, maybe having lost to a Tyloo, for example, in the upper bracket or something like that. I think
the thing about a tournament like this is that there's more scary teams. Like in Dfrag, there's only 2 teams that you might even like consider being decent. Yeah. In this fucking event, it's like, I'd even go like change the game, Next Void, Morningstar, Rare Out. Like every team from 9th to like Next Void on 9th to 12th there, I think is worth like a fuck, this team might randomly be really good.
There's even a world where like you play this Depot team. Where's Depot?
Bottom left.
Bottom.
Oh, wait, no, bottom right.
If you play this Depot team and they're from like Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, right? And you just end up on some fucking random server because it's an online tournament. And this is where the next conversation goes, by the way. That you end up in this game and you're playing on like 100 ping or something and you just lose to these guys. It's possible, you know what I mean? Like it's online Counter-Strike in Asia. We've seen it all before. FlyQuest, I think, is a decent enough team you'd think to get through, but then they didn't, obviously, in some of the other matches. And I understand, obviously, that game against Alter Ego, I believe Alter Ego was playing in Indonesia, or for the most part, most of them were in Indonesia. I know Grat was in Indonesia. So FlyQuest is in China. Alter Ego's in Indonesia. I think they would have played on like a Singapore server or something like that. And so they're still playing on like 50, 60 ping. You know what I mean? Like, is it that much worse to potentially just be in Brisbane, boot camping in Brisbane, play this online and play like 90 ping, 100 ping, whatever to Singapore, 150 ping maybe?
I think it'd be one or the other. I think if you're that close on the VRS, you probably just play it safe.
I guess
you don't want to play any pings on any tournaments on 100.
Well, the risk is you play both and you lose at both potentially, and then you lose all your points.
Because right now it does look kind of pretty much confirmed, like who teams are going to be, right? Like,
no, I don't think so. I don't think so.
I think there's still Chinese and Mongolian tournaments that are happening.
No, we'll talk about this at the end, by the way. There's a whole there's a whole shit show worth of tournaments still to play. So I don't even think it's worth like looking at it too in depth at the moment. Right. Where I want to go with this one, and because like I said, this ties into the next conversation, is that this is one of the byproducts of CAC. This is where we get into the drama. This is the juicy stuff. This is what people watch Geographically Challenged for. This is Damyo starting World War III with Rare Atom. So, where to begin? Where to even begin? Okay, basically, what happened was, obviously, as you would have seen there on the HLTVs, they had a match. Where was it? Was it lower bracket? Or was it upper right? No, this was their first game, actually. Was this real? Did they get 13-0'd even in that game?
It's like it.
I didn't even realize they got 13-0'd. That's extra embarrassing.
Oh, no.
That makes it even funnier.
That is actually really, really sad. Anyways, okay. So what happens is, obviously, you know, they're going to go and play in this server. And the way that the rule book works, as we will be able to see from a very conveniently placed rare atom post here, is that there is essentially predetermined servers for select matchups. So China versus Oceania, you can choose from Kuala Lumpur, Tokyo, or Hong Kong. None of which, by the way, are a great server for Oceania. I think Kuala Lumpur is probably the best one, but that's...
Why didn't it add Singapore there?
It's a good question. That's a really good question.
Yeah, that's weird.
I think Kuala Lumpur, the routing would go via Singapore anyway. So basically all you're doing is, even though KL's like right next to Singapore, you're kind of just adding an extra 5 or 10 MS because it has to go to Singapore and then back over to KL. So it's like just worse, basically, for Oceania. Which, again, bearing in mind, this is a Chinese tournament. So there's a potential world where they've just kind of like, give me the system. But
look at the reply Damyo gave to himself. He said, shout out to Linvision for playing a game of Singapore server today without any hesitation.
Yeah. That was after this whole drama blew up.
Yeah. So, but in the rules, Singapore is not one of the locations.
Correct.
Yes.
So why is that allowed now?
Well,
right?
Well, what happened was, I guess what eventually happened is they couldn't agree on a server. So they went into a server veto, and ultimately they ended up playing on Tokyo, which is like, as you can see.
I can only imagine means that Rare Atom goes into the server veto and goes minus KL as their first server.
Yeah, first ban immediately.
Literally just says, fuck you,
yeah.
Aussie cunts.
You have to play on Japan or Hong Kong, of which if you're playing on Hong Kong, that's obviously right next to China.
Look,
so
to be fair, it's well within their rights to do. If those are the rules, those are the rules. At the end of the day, it's a question of the rules versus the sportsmanship. And you know, I think in this case, Rare Atom have chosen to be cunts, but they're not actually rules-wise in the wrong.
No, exactly. And I feel like this is something that you just have to expect as an ANZ team, and you also have to be looking at that rule book and sort of probably dealing with this ahead of time and saying, hey, is there any world where this rule book can change before the tournament? So part of it is on Ground Zero and other Australian teams to like be actually looking into this, but I don't think these guys are really looking at those kinds of rule books. They don't have managers that are going to be doing that kind of shit.
But like, especially if you're like, you know, you're not the best Australian team or something like that. Like, you think Rare Atom gives a fuck like about like an Australian team in a qualifier? They're just going to be like, no, fuck you.
And also, by the way, do you think as an Australian team that Perfect World gives a single fuck about you either? This is a Chinese company.
They don't even fucking put it on a platform where we can fucking sign up to the event.
You're lucky to even be able to play this tournament. Unfortunately, you know, like I don't want to play.
They go like, welcome to my Chinese event. Yes. Thank you for participating. Look, if there's anything that you guys need, don't fucking ask me. You're just lucky to be here, guys.
Yeah. No, and I don't want to victim blame or anything like this, because I do think, like, you know, Ground Zero obviously within their rights to say, hey, this is probably pretty unfair. But at the end of the day, you know, there's no vested interest in Perfect World to try to accommodate Australian teams any more than they already do, because it's a Chinese tournament in China. Perfect World is the publisher for Counter-Strike in China. It is in their interest for Chinese teams to go to the major, to play at the major, to brand the game obviously in China. So let's not get our, you know, wires crossed about, is this about being fair or any of that? It's just about, we're doing our obligation, which I don't even think they necessarily have an obligation, by the way, to allow international teams.
It's just a fucking situation, right?
Yeah.
How many times have we seen this in the past, over the past 10 years, when it comes to all these videos and shit? So same old. If I was Damyo, I probably wouldn't have made a tweet, but I can totally understand his frustrations as well.
I just don't think he expected it to blow up this much. Like, the problem is, you make this tweet.
When you say pathetic Rare Atom, like, you know, they're pretty big, right?
Well, it's not even that. The problem is, I think that like a lot of Chinese fans kind of take it. Oh, by the way.
I fucking love the Australian fan base. I fucking love this shit, bro. Like, honestly, I don't think Ground Zero is necessarily in the right. I think Rare Atom are poor sports, but fuck it, like, abuse the rule book. You try to go to the major. Personally, fuck yes. Let's make more tweets like this. I find
it funny. Like we got something to talk about. Jesus Christ.
This is fucking hilarious.
Dude, Chinese Chinese memers are on a whole fucking level compared to the rest of us fucking plebs. They meme so well. It's insane.
Honestly, it's like the funniest shit because the Chinese insults are like 14 layers deep, like very thoughtful, like rooted in like their very complex language, and Australians are just like fuck you, fucking cunt, like fucking change your server, cunt. It's just like, it's so fucking funny to watch the interactions between these two fan bases, man.
Yeah, the thing is, like, I think the Chinese community, like, when there's like a bandwagon to jump on, they fucking get on it, bro. Like, 1.7k likes to this tweet. Damyo would not have expected this. He's brought down, like, somebody's posted this on like some Chinese social media platform, and the fellas are out in force. You know what I mean? So it's basically like, it's probably 100,000 Chinese netizens that see this post and are like, of them, maybe 1% is going to come and comment on Twitter versus the like 20 Australian Counter-Strike fans that exist in the world. You know what I mean? So it's just a lose-lose battle for you. Anyway, the thing that I actually have an issue with, or not even really an issue with, but the thing that I thought was kind of just shit was the way that Rare Adam responded to it. Because it's like, I think if you're Rare Adam, you just don't even reply to this. Like, you ignore it. But you
do a meme, or just do a fucking meme.
But they actually tweeted it, and then they deleted this tweet, by the way, because I think they realized. By the way, you don't get any special prizes for understanding what I think about this tweet.
I do see it. Apparently,
this was the one they deleted. That Rare Adam. It's like some bloke has just gone on the Rare Adam Twitter and posted his personal opinion. Apparently, following the rules and using the server veto is pathetic, but asking for a server outside the rulebook is somehow reasonable. Sorry, we can't demonstrate that kind of sportsmanship, whatever. And it's just like, lame. First of all,
that's kind of lame.
If you're gonna make a statement in English, like, get someone who actually speaks English that can make sure that the statement doesn't literally read fucking like shit. Second of all,
it's in Chinese though. It's in Mandarin, right?
No. The tweet itself is in English. This is the screenshot of the rulebook in Chinese.
Okay.
And then there was an English screenshot as well that you don't see here. That is one thing. Two, don't tweet on your organization social media like you're just some guy. Like, it's an organization account. This is not
legit.
Elfishguy thinks this is pathetic. Like, I can have my opinion, but I'm not going to tweet that on fucking... Okay, like, let's say I had access to the FlyQuest Twitter, which obviously I don't, but just as an example. I'm not going to go on the FlyQuest Twitter and be like, yeah, Rare Adam's fucking pathetic, and especially you, specific player, at this player, you are a dum-dum. That's not how, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, where's the decorum? You know what I mean?
To play devil's advocate here, I see where you're coming from, but then I look at, like, why are Twitter accounts like, the 100 Thieves guys or G2, great example, they should talk, they should post all the time as well.
Yeah, but it's in a way that that it's very crafted, right? Like, I think there's a layer to this, right?
I agree, but look,
I can guarantee
you're reading too much into it.
No, I can guarantee you this is just some social media dude's knee-jerk reaction to the post.
100%. And he got butthurt about it.
Yeah,
sure.
Yeah. And then someone from like up the chain has seen that on Rare Adam and been like, "What the fuck have you just posted, bro?" And said delete it, and then it's obviously gone.
That happens pretty often.
This was the reply, but like, I don't know, bro. Even that, like, even the emote, like, come on, dude, get this emote. Like, it just boils my blood, bro. It just boils my blood, bro. It's like, why have you even needed to do that? Just stay quiet. You followed the rules. That's all you need to do. There's no need to try and find the moral high ground here. Because really, the thing is, like, really, you don't have the moral high ground. You think you've got the moral high ground, but you actually don't. You're just being
there is no moral high ground. Like, it comes down to classic the spirit of the game.
Right. It's exactly right.
And it's dead, just like cricket is dead nowadays. So
yeah, I mean, that's what
maybe
all
the sign of the times.
I like
that's
this.
What all the Aussies are crying about.
I like this. This is Yosh, by the way, from the Discord. Shout out to Yosh one time. He is a goat.
Shout out to the Discord in general. I mean, that's where we got the screenshot. We got the little receipts of shit. Like, come join the Geographically Challenged Discord. We've always got people whinging
These are the real fans.
These are the real fans. They're in there every day. And by the way, there's a link in the description if you want to join. They're in there every day. And there's literally every day at the moment, there's an argument about VRS. Someone will be like, someone will say like, with this loss, the Huns cannot make it. And then someone will go, no, actually, they've got these 3 tournaments to play. And it's like, how do you even know they've got these 3 tournaments to play? Like, bro, they're not on HLTV. They're just on fucking look, we'll get into it. Obviously, there's a segment later on for this. But anyway, I just think there should be a little bit more camaraderie between Asia. And I understand that I'm very unique in that because I support all of Asia-Pacific Counter-Strike. I'm not just an Oceanic fan. obviously a lot of the fans, like the Chinese fans are going to be Chinese fans, the Mongolian fans are going to be Mongolian fans, Oceanic fans are going to be Oceanic fans, whatever. But like, we're all in the same region, you know what I mean? Like, we're all kind of, you know, our fortunes are combined. So, do a little bit to help, you know, your fellas out. If they're from China or Mongolia, I think the Oceanic teams can do that, and vice versa and whatnot. I think that's really where we should try to go to as a region.
I agree, but it's also like every time I remember when the Mongolz really had the rise, I'm like, look at the Mongolz doing for Asian Counter-Strike. You have some 60-year-old new Mongolian kid being super nationalist. Say, no, this is Mongolian CS, not Asian CS. I'm like, guys, like, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up before I beat you up.
Yeah.
Anyway,
moral of the story is racism prevails, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyways, okay, let's get back on topic here, because we have got the Dfrag Wildcard to talk about, and that is going to be a pretty bulky part of this episode because there was a lot that happened at this LAN. And also, by the way, can I just before we get into any of this, there's been a lot of bullshit going around about the Australians are cheating to get VRS points. The Australians are stealing major slots. Excuse fucking me, bro. I put my hand down the back of the fucking couch, pulled out $2, rubbed that together to try to put together a fucking LAN. Obviously, it wasn't me, but this is just an analogy for Australian Counter-Strike. There's fucking no money in this. There's no fucking money in this country. And we've played 2 LANs in an entire season, and apparently that is stealing a fucking slot from China or from Mongolia. Who the fuck came up with that as a... Like, that... You know what I mean? Like, do you guys understand what's going on in, like, the VRS? And this, by the way, before all of the Chinese tournaments and before all the Mongolian tournaments, everyone's freaking out, like, there's going to be 3 Australian teams at the major. It's like, no, you fucking idiot, bro. Like, you haven't even played the LANs. Why are you getting upset about this? There's still 3 fucking Chinese LANs and 2 Mongolian LANs. Just give it 2 weeks, and then like, I don't understand where these people are coming from. Like,
I love Jordan rant. It's fucking so good.
Bro, look at every single one of these fucking teams on the page, okay? Then add all the casters, all the production staff, the organizer. Every fucking person that went here lost money. Every single person. You think like we're fucking playing for money here or some shit, bro?
It's like
literally we're trying to put on an event just to have a fucking chance versus the resources that the other regions have. But it's just like these fucking Australians, man. Why are they trying to cheat?
How dare they have lands?
How they game? It's like they're gaming the system. They're gaming the system. They're playing LAN. They shouldn't be allowed to play LAN. We should be the only ones that are allowed to play 10 LAN matches and get 50 points per LAN match.
Meanwhile, Mesa has like 3 LANs a season, and China's got like fucking 12 or some shit, dude.
Meanwhile,
like our region has been literally like forsaken by the major TOs, just like left in the dust. There's literally nothing going on down here, and it's just like one fucking cunt who loves Counter-Strike decided like, let's just put on an event, and hopefully all the little children can have some fun and relive some of the glory days, you know? And
exactly.
All the fucking other region fans are like, fuck these fucking guys for fucking playing LAN Counter-Strike. Like,
shout out to Mav. Mav's like that guy that's like, you know what? I'm happy to lose $100,000 of my own money just so that these guys can potentially have a crumb of a VRS point once or twice in a season. You know what I mean? And by the way, the prize pool, $14,000. Like, why are we getting upset about that? That's like, why is anyone going? The Australians are cheating the VRS system by running what, a $14,000 LAN?
Congratulations,
Hello?
ThunderDownUnder. You paid for your own accommodation to come to this event. Everyone else, get fucked.
Yeah, especially considering how expensive Australia is. It's insane.
Yeah. These LANs, I mean, the second one, the ANZC local, this one was funded by Sponge and only Joshin. Sponge put in $5,000 and only Joshin put in $2,500. That's the only way we're getting LANs in Australia. There's no companies, there's no brands, there's no sponsors. I mean, there are some sponsors, but there's not a shit ton of money coming into these LANs. I don't know. It just pisses me off. It's like, how can you sit in your fucking... Okay, I feel like I'm on the outside of the ivory tower right now. How can you sit in your ivory tower where you can run these $50,000 LANs, you know, CAC and fucking Nomadic Masters and all this bullshit, and then look at ANZ and go, they're cheating, they're taking our point, they're going to take our slots with their 2 LANs, their 2 little local LANs that they ran for free. and nobody got paid.
In a fucking warehouse in a suburb
warehouse
in the middle of like the third biggest city in Australia.
It's
like
mate,
just in the fucking middle of nowhere, bro.
What's going on there? Anyways, look, the takeaway is, I mean, to bring it back to something a little bit more sensible, the real takeaway is these two lands are basically Oceania catching up with the rest of like Asia. That's really all that it is. The reason that you see such a significant jump in the points is that because there's no lands. They don't have land points, and you get plus 48 points. I think plus 48 or nearly 50 points per land win.
Semper Fi is the only team that had land wins.
So if you had zero and you came into these two lands, which by the way ThunderDownUnder did, you come into these, you can pick up potentially like 500 points.
Because look at that.
Just purely
look at
from
that
the
line
landless.
right there. Do you like graphs, Bleh? Bang!
I love
Look
graphs.
at those VRS points.
Yeah.
Holy shit, that looks good, man.
That's rock solid, baby.
Anyway.
2%, some people might say.
Anyway, let's get into the conversation around what happened at Dfrag Wildcard. Okay, broad strokes. Obviously, ThunderDownUnder, they won back-to-back, so they won the wildcard, and then they won in the ANZC LAN. Semper Fi back-to-back second place, which for them, obviously a very disappointing result. They would have hoped to at least win one, if not probably both. Everyone else kind of doesn't really matter because they were not really in the VRS race to begin with. I think there was
I disagree.
I disagree. There was a few teams that, or at least I heard conversations where like Ground Zero and Mindfreak and whatnot was sort of like, oh yeah, we might qualify for the major. And I don't know if they actually believed that or if they were just saying that for like the content pieces. But like, let's say there was a world maybe where Mindfreak didn't get into a scuffle between two boys at the LAN and managed to win both. If they win both, are they actually really going to be able to jump up enough? I'm not sure that they would have, but maybe they would have. But for the sake of argument, let's say that they could have. Obviously, none of those other teams really were consistent enough to do it. Ground Zero had some pretty good moments. They almost knocked ThunderDownUnder out, to be fair, in the first
They almost beat
LAN.
ThunderDownUnder twice. And
So-
they should have beaten ThunderDownUnder at least once.
But the problem is they kind of fumbled ANZC. They did really well in Wildcard, and then they kind of fumbled in ANZC. So, they get some points out of it. They had a good time. I think everyone had a great time. Like, these lands were fucking awesome. Like, it was actually really fun to be back, hanging out with people. It felt like the good old days, you know what I mean? I felt young again. I'm 31 now. It made me feel 25. Actually, it made me feel like 21. I was going to my first LAN again in Sydney, hanging out with the people, having a good time. Counter-Strike was Counter-Strike. It actually felt like it mattered as well, the wildcard LAN, thanks to the VRS system. So I think there's definitely something there that you can say, like, VRS has done a good thing. Obviously, it's a whole fucking shit show of a system, to be fair. But, like, at the surface level, I feel like it's working as intended because it's promoting lands, and two, it's promoting things that actually matter. You're running events that actually matter, and it feels like they matter, and so that's kind of good for the region and good for the players and good for us as casters. It's much more fun when you go and you feel like what we're doing, what we're casting, can actually have some kind of impact. And yeah, overall, I think A+ job from me from the perspective of a talent member or influencer or whatever you want to fucking call us in the space here, someone that has opinions on Counter-Strike. I think great job, Dfrag. Absolutely awesome LAN. And look, it feels like every year it kind of gets a bit better. Like I was at the Invitational last year and it was a bit rough around the edges, but it ran. And then this year, like Wildcard LAN, I feel like there was barely any issues. There was one delay at the very start. Like day one, there was a delay because there was a CS patch on the day of.
Oh, yeah.
And then that delayed the first game.
We also did have another big delay because TJP kept pulling his in-ears out of his PC to stand up and talk shit to the other team. That was funny. To the point where I think after the fourth time of standing up and talking shit at the other team, he broke his in-ears and needed to get lent an extra pair by the head admin to keep even playing. So that was like a pretty extended delay, but that wasn't the TO's fault.
Yeah, and it also spawned this excellent GIF while we're talking about TJP.
That was the promotional video, by the way. They had just the players eating fucking sausage sizzle and drinking beers on the barbie and shit like that. Fucking S-tier media production. Love that shit.
Yeah. So anyway, overall, really, really cool stuff. Enjoyed it a lot. ThunderDownUnder, obviously the biggest benefactors of this event. They get the 10 LAN wins that they needed, because to win the LANs, you needed to win 2 group stage matches, 2 or 3 group stage matches. Anyway, whatever. They basically, you win 5 LAN, you get 5 LAN wins per tournament. So the Dfrag Wildcard LAN and the ANZC LAN makes 10. That gives them basically a 500-point boost, or close to a 500-point boost. So the old boys do it better, apparently. I mean, that's kind of the way that I wanted to describe this. I feel like it's Greyhound running it back in a way. You know what I mean? Like it's Texta, it's Ali, it's Liaz, and then obviously you've got ASAP and TJP in there, sort of along for the ride. But like, I don't know about you, Pilski, but obviously there was a rocky start for ThunderDownUnder. I don't think it's unfair to say that they really were not sublime to start the tournament. But once they got going, and particularly in that ANZC land, I felt like it kind of felt like there was almost, that aura again around some of those players where it's like, they just can't fucking lose, bro. Like Texta, 1v3 on the lower side of Nuke. Like, how's he pulled that off? Liaz just shooting cunts through smoke. Like, he'll come into a site. His 2 entries are dead. He'll be like the 3rd man in. He'll trade the guy on the site, and then he'll just like spam the annex smoke and get another kill. And it's like, oh, that was a 5v3, but now it's a 3v3 and they can actually win the round. Ali was fucking farming, by the way. I don't know if he was like the top-rated Thunder player, but he was definitely one of them. Yeah, top-rated alongside ASAP. He was, and let's not forget, owning, bro. Plus 79, bro. He goes plus 79.
That's kind of crazy.
And I know he's obviously saving a lot because he's the AWPer, but like that's fucking insane.
Let's also not forget the Keen donating the AWP to them on Inferno mid off 4-0. That round was, I couldn't believe what I was watching, dude. I mean, look, Keen was the
top-rated player at the event. He did very well for himself. And in the initial Dfrag LAN, the wildcard LAN, Semper Fi did beat Thunder in that upper final and make it into the grand final. But in every game where it mattered, in every grand final, and especially after this grand final, it really did feel like ThunderDownUnder was the better team. And it felt like after they lost that really close upper final to Semper Fi, they literally like powered up and went like, fuck these cunts. Yeah. And Alistair in particular, both series against Semper Fi, he absolutely fucked them. Like, it was crazy. He was running around just like making life very, very difficult for them. I think every single moment on Thunder, every single player on Thunder kind of had their moments in this event. ASAP, I think he started really poorly in the initial LAN, and then he started getting better and better and better and starting to hit some crazy levels of form. I think Texta had like some good maps here and there, but I kind of felt like Texta was a little bit underwhelming. He's still got like very good stats, but I don't even feel like Texta was playing that good. That's just kind of what kind of player he is. Like Texta, he's just got so much experience and he understands how to play CS so much that I feel like he wasn't even aiming very good, and he was still good enough to beat all of the Australian competition. Because, like, for those who are unaware, like, Dexter's got, like, a full-time job. Like, he's not grinding CS. He's not having, like, anything more than, I don't even know, like, what, 30, 40 hours per 2 weeks or something like that.
I think it's less. I'm pretty sure he posted
it might even be less
like
than
20 hours over 2 weeks, which is basically he's just playing officials.
He's literally just playing officials and like some scrims or whatever. He doesn't even have time to play the game, whereas some of the other players are maybe a bit more invested or playing a bit more seriously. Like Alistair in particular seems to be kind of like the heart and soul of this project. He's IGLing some of these games where he's like got a good read. He is fucking people up with the AWP. ASAP, obviously a big heavy hitter. I felt like Liaz was kind of the clutch player for ThunderDownUnder, though. He had some maps where he just didn't do anything, but in I think both of the grand finals, in the third map, he dropped like 30 in both of them. Like literally, when it came down to the map of like, okay, who's gonna win the grand final, he absolutely fucking fisted the other team.
Yeah, he had an insane final map in this series. I remember.
Yeah, what was he?
26 and 8, bro. He went 26 and 8 in the grand final third map.
Like, fuck this shit, we're winning. Yeah. And Texta, what was Texta? Is that 5 and 18?
5 and 16.
5 and 16. Like, he's literally just
sometimes I sometimes wonder what Texta's even doing in the team, because he's not calling either, right? Like, all right.
No, he's not calling. He's just along for the ride with the boys.
But that's the thing, though, is like, I think I've been having this argument with Gotts. Do you remember Gotts, Bleh? I don't know if you remember his name. Pilski certainly would. He's like, you could replace like any of these players in ThunderDownUnder and it would like make the team. It wouldn't change the team necessarily. Like, if you change one player, like, his basic argument is, like, you could remove, like, Texta, for example. I think, like, even though Dexter's got shit stats there, if Dexter loses that 1v3 on Nuke to ground zero, they don't even get to this point. So, like, you're getting these X-factor moments from these guys that have the experience that, like, maybe it's not necessarily reflected on the scoreboard, but I do think, like, you question, like, oh, what's Dexter even doing there? It's like, I don't think you could realistically find a better rifler to, like, slot into this team. Like, sure, you could maybe find a like for like and someone that could have, like, equal stats, but, like, do you get those kinds of moments out of pretty much any other player in ANZ that's not named Alistair, Liaz, Dexter, or maybe ASAP? I don't really think so. You didn't really get it from Shady. You didn't really get it from Addict. You didn't really get it from Hazza. You didn't really get it from Savage. Like, Savage had a couple of good clutches, to be fair, but, like, they weren't in like the moment where it was like this fucking matters, bro.
That's what I was gonna say. That's what Semper Fi is missing. Like they are a team that just misses that X factor. Like they're a very good team. They've put like I got to give them respect where respect's due. They put a lot of effort into this European expedition and this boot camp to try to improve their team, and they were good enough to win these events. But when it came down to crunch time in the games that mattered, like ThunderDownUnder just won out. Like the big game players that have the experience fucking stepped up, and you even heard it in the interviews as well, where it's like they were giving respect to Semper Fi and they were saying, "Look, Semper Fi is a very good team," but you would even have like players like Texta be like, yeah, cool. You guys went over for a European boot camp for a couple of months, but I was in Europe for years, bro. Like, you know, like it doesn't matter to me. I'm still going to beat you. And they backed it up in the fucking finals. You know, they beat them in back-to-back lands, which that fucking stings for Semper Fi because these were the lands that they really needed to maintain their position in the VRS.
Yeah, 100%.
And now they're kind of in they might not qualify for the major after losing these two events after all of this effort and investment into the European boot camp.
Yeah, I think this is a good time to like get into the Semper Fi discussion because it's like, where does this team now kind of go from here? And I'll start it with I'll just put this on the screen. I'm not even going to make a comment. But I think the cracks are beginning to show. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, they go to Europe, they invest all of this money, they don't do that well over there. Then they come back to ANZ. They should come back as like the Kings because you go back last year, they were dominating everybody. The only team they ever lost to was Rooster, and that was in one final, which was the Extremes Land qualifier. They won everything else. So they're expecting to come back here and pick up a bunch of VRS points at the land, which they did. To be fair, they picked up points, but like they didn't get the maximum, and that's significantly hampered their chances. And I don't know, like how much longer do they have? Do they have another 6 months? Do we think, or is this like if they don't call for the major here, it's project done?
I think it's been generous already. Like I've played in a few like OS projects where you've gone overseas and had some org investment, and usually it's fucking cutthroat, man. It's like you guys have this one event that you've qualified for, and we're sponsoring you for that event because you're going overseas in the hope that you're going to actually do well or do something, and like the orgs will support you when things are going well, you're winning domestically and stuff like that. And I've been in orgs where you lose that one qualifier or you lose at the overseas event, and they're like, all right, thanks for your time, guys. Fuck off, basically. So I think Semper Fi, obviously, it's a bit of a family project over there. And credit for them putting the resources in and really trying to go overseas and get better and all that kind of stuff. I really respect the grind, but I think, like, at the end of the day, and Keen in particular, I really respect Keen. I think Keen is he's a sick player. He clearly puts in a lot of effort, and I think he's very, very good. But I just don't see this team as being, I've never seen this team as an exciting prospect. They're a team that struggles against European opposition. They've just lost these back-to-back lands against Thunder. Like, I don't know, at what point is this just like not worth it at this point to continue pursuing?
What's more important? It's like, okay, yeah, I think it's fine to struggle against EU competition. You put a ThunderDownUnder over in the same tournaments that Semper Fi played. I don't know how much better they necessarily do.
Probably not much better, no.
But the thing is, they have consistently struggled against Asian competition. That's the big falling down point for Semper Fi, and probably would be for Thunder too. But
you share that tweet where like Ben has said, whatever, like Asian teams don't deserve to make it to the major. It's like, bro, like when has your team been better than these teams? Yeah. I've never seen it personally. I've never seen a fucking Semper Fi is better than a Rare Atom necessarily, like, and then you talk about Lim Vision, Tyloo, a lot of the Mongolian teams. Like, I'm thinking about Semper Fi. I'm like, is this team better than Chinggis? Probably not. Is this team better than fucking Eruption? Maybe. Like, but I can't say with certainty. You know what I mean? And they don't have. I think they lost to Eruption when they played them.
Lost to IHC.
You know what I mean? So
lost to Hoti. Beat Unsettled Resentment.
They're beating the mid Asian teams, but it's like when you're actually playing the good Asian teams, you're not beating them, and not even like the best of the best. We're talking about like the third or the fourth best Mongolian team. Like, how can you say like that your team is better or deserves a major spot any more than the fucking Asian teams?
Look, they're not going to beat straight up, right? Of course, you might have an upset here and there, but you look, Mongolz not even bringing into the conversation. But like Tyloo, Lin Vision, Rare Atom, the top three Chinese teams, I really, really doubt it. Tyloo, absolutely no way. And then you bring in Huns,
Bro, not even
Warriors.
Morningstar.
No, they wouldn't
like,
be
I don't
Morningstar.
think
I
they're
don't
beating
think- I don't think they're
Morningstar,
beating
bro.
Morningstar.
There we go,
Morningstar's
right?
pretty sick.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to echo your thoughts. I met the lads at the HLTV Awards. I met Ben, I met all these guys. And listen, lovely bunch of kids, right? I really appreciate what they've been doing, grinding it out, traveling,
For
boot
sure.
camping. It's not easy, man. And even for, again, you got to remember the split. You have like a couple of EU guys, 3 Aussies. When they're moving in, you know, for the Aussies, they're so far away from home. And when they're playing in Australia, the EU guys are literally being like, you know what, we're going to put everything into this project. We're going to come in Australia, stay there, far away from home and all of that.
Investment.
It's an investment of time, of your heart as well. And it's a lot, and I respect it. But at some point, you got to be a little realistic and be like, all right, this is where we have plateaued.
Yep.
This is where we are right now. And I feel like with Semper Fi, that's where they are at the moment. And I feel like Ben's tweet right there just sour grapes, in my opinion. I'm sorry to say it.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about it. Like I respect the hustle, I respect the grind, and you know all of the passion that goes into the project. Like make no mistake about that. But I keep seeing like just opinions like that where it rubs me the wrong way. You know what I mean? Like I've never had a bad interaction with the guy personally, but like when I see him put opinions like that out there, just like it doesn't necessarily leave a good taste in your mouth.
Yeah, I mean, again, it kind of ties back into the. I think we should be sort of coming together as a greater region rather than trying to find this divide. And I feel like that divide is really starting. I feel like we're getting political on this. You know, I feel like I'm laying down some political world truth at this point. You know, we should unify and, you know, love thy neighbor and whatnot. But like, no, seriously, because
never gonna happen.
The thing is, like,
it's never gonna fucking happen.
There's only so many opportunities in Asia, and the way that this is gonna the dystopian future, which I see coming for Asian Counter-Strike in general, Asia Pacific Counter-Strike is. It is going to be a VRS race between these certain regions, China, Mongolia, and Australia/Oceania. China will inevitably, at some point, they're just going to start running events that are China locked. At the moment, almost every single event in China, anyone can play. Yes, you have to play online. Yes, you have to play on shit servers, unless you travel to China. But, so, you know what? The fact that you can play, that's nice. Right now, Mongolia is running Mongolia exclusive tournaments. Australia is running Australia exclusive tournaments. If China starts running China exclusive tournaments, it is just a race to the bottom of who can spend the most money to get their teams to the major. And that is, I feel like, the inevitable point that we're going to get to. Like, that's just the system is going to push everybody in that direction. And unless there's a concerted effort from like the top TOs in all of those regions to communicate with one another and say, we're going to run these tournaments and everybody gets to be invited to all of the tournaments, we're going to run into a point where Oceanic teams are going to be region locked to play in ANZ tournaments, and if Dfrag dies, GG ANZ. Mongolian teams are going to be region locked into MESA tournaments and ESN tournaments, and the Chinese guys are going to run all their Chinese tournaments. You know, XSE, Perfect World, fucking Hero Esports. Yeah. Boom. China on top in Asia, and that's just how it is. And we're only, to an extent, having the ability to contest this through, I will say, somewhat the benevolence of the Chinese TOs. If they decide that they don't want to run tournaments that the Australians can play in, GG, bro. Like, what do you want to do? It's over.
GG howdy. Yep.
So to sort of, the thing is, like, if you go to them and you sort of start slinging shit and you're gonna like build a wall, you know, like build a divide between the countries and the regions, and say it's an us versus you type thing, then why wouldn't they respond in kind? You know what I mean? Like, I think it's in our best interests as ANZ and just Asia in general to have. If we want to have the most competitive scene, if we want to have the most competitive teams go to the major, have this holistic approach where everybody can play everything. It doesn't mean you will. It doesn't mean that, you know, just because we have a tournament in ANZ, that any Chinese or Mongolian teams will come. It's probably very unlikely because it's just not a value proposition for them. It will cost them a lot. But the fact that they potentially could play is what will ultimately be what's more important, I think. And for what it's worth, for those of you that are, again, sitting on the sidelines like, why the ANZ teams are just stealing points and this and that? It's like bullshit. Dfrag, I've spoken to multiple times, are invested. They want to have Asian teams at these events. It just doesn't happen because of money. They had conversations with XSE, I know, behind the scenes. I set up a conversation between Mav and Bjorn, who are, you know, the two figureheads of those two, XSE and Dfrag. And I said, guys, have a chat, see if you can put something together. They had a chat, but it just doesn't happen because, like, Chinese teams are not going to come to Australia to play in these tournaments. They've got every other fucking Chinese tournament that they can play in to get VRS points. Why do they need to come to Australia? So it's not as if the people on the inside aren't trying. Do you know what I mean? But it's the bullshit that's happening in like the outside circles where people are just like slinging shit back and forth and whatever, and just making for really sour grapes, like you say, Pilski, which ultimately leads us into a pretty bad spot, I think, in like 6 to 12 months when people like properly understand how this VRS system is going to actually play out. So that's my 2 cents on that.
Are we finally going to understand how the system's going to play? Are people going to figure it out? Because it's been a year now, guys, and I feel like so many teams even now have no fucking clue how it works. Even myself, I have a better understanding.
No, I
but
mean,
even
not
for
so
me,
much figure it out, but I
it's-
think abuse it. I think people are going to understand how to abuse it.
I think checks and balances will come in place, right? Right now, I feel it's still, in that period where it's kind of stabilizing itself, kind of like a self-policing thing. But even if there's a potential abuse, I do feel that's the one thing where Valve always do come in. They're like, all right, guys, we're not going to be doing this. That's the one thing they do update, actually.
Yeah. Anyway.
And look, I will say at the end of things, by the way, in regards to the OS tournaments and the whole VRS and the whole thing about like OS teams are trying to like cheat their way to the major or whatever. Do I think that fucking, 2 OS teams winning against the rest of the OS field is worthy of the amount of VRS points that you're getting? Fuck no, bro. Like, fuck no. I think an event like CAC should be worth way more points. Like the opposition in Asia with all of the regions together.
Yep.
Make no mistake. I even said it, like right down to fucking 10th place in that tournament. There's so many good teams. Whereas in this Oz tournament, like there might be 2.5. I'll give half to Ground Zero there. They can be decent at times, and they did push Thunder, but like Semper Fi and Thunder are the only decent teams at this event. So they're basically playing for first, second place, essentially, and they have some teams who could play spoiler to them. So yeah, I don't agree with it either, but I'm just saying it is fucking hilarious that teams are like, that are dunking, that people rather are dunking on Australians.
Well, that's
trying to do what we can to fucking compete.
But that's exactly what I'm saying, though, because this is going to be the inevitable future where you just never see these teams play against each other because they're going to be trying to min-max and abuse as much possible VRS points maxing as they can. And the incentive will not be there to play all of these tournaments if, people understand that. So, again, I think it's just a better world where everyone's playing everything, everyone's playing against everyone, and we get a better understanding of who's better, really, because... yeah, like should ThunderDownUnder be, what are they now? Second. I think they're the second rated team in the VRS ranking. Absolutely not. I mean, they lost to fucking Huns and Legion in the Bucharest qualifier online.
Legit.
Look, online, yeah, sure, but like, come on, bro. Like, you play a Linvision, you play a Tyloo, you play a Rare. They're not winning those games.
Didn't Pokemon play on that Legion team as
Pokemon
well?
shit on ThunderDownUnder and then FlyQuest.
Australians, bro. This guy just fucks us.
He just hates Australians. Anyways, all right. Enough about that. We've got one more topic to touch on for the Dfrag Wildcard LAN, and it is this, which, again, I don't know, maybe it's a bit more fun. It depends on your certain opinions on the conduct that was displayed at Dfrag Wildcard. So, for those that don't know, on the third day of LAN, Texta, who was a player... on the third day of Christmas, Texta presented us his beautiful gift for Geographically Challenged, where we can farm some clickbait, get some views... thank you so much, Texta, for this one. So TLDR, on the third day of the LAN, Mindfreak was playing Ground Zero. I believe this was in a lower bracket match, so an elimination match. Obviously, tempers are flaring. It's a very high-pressure game. This is your major on the line. And Texta, after map 1, got into some kind of an altercation with Vision, who's obviously a player on Ground Zero. Now, the best part of this, or maybe the worst part of this, is, Pilski, we were not actually there when this happened. So we're missing some of the context because we stupidly, at this moment, went to the shops. We went to Woolworths, we went to Woolies, to the supermarket to get some food.
Fucks.
And
Stupid
we
fucks.
come back.
Why?
The day is beautiful. It's a beautiful day. We're watching some Counter-Strike. The sun is shining. We're hanging out with our mates. We're out at the shops. We come back to LAN. And they're like, someone's like, Texta's just been banned from Dfrag. I'm like, what? Why has Texta been banned from Dfrag? He's like,
Which, by the way, just as an aside as well, this is a player that's notoriously in the past been known for being very toxic, right? But he came on the desk for an interview the day before, and we go like, hey, Texta, how much are you really committing to CS these days? And he goes like, I'm playing a little bit, but it's more just for fun these days. I'm actually getting my master's degree at the moment, or I'm about to start getting my master's degree. And he walks away from that interview, and me and Jordan look at each other, knowing this guy's got a reputation as like a toxic pucker. And we go, oh, what a lovely young gentleman. He's getting his master's degree. Like, this guy is reformed. And then the very next day...
the very next day, he gets banned for 6 months from Dfrag for... apparently, getting into a physical altercation of some kind. Now, I haven't seen the footage, But what I spoke to multiple people at this LAN. I'm not going to name names as to where this information necessarily has come from, but this is definitely sources from all walks of life, let's just say. And allegedly, what happened was, again, I can't confirm this without having watched it myself. He walked up behind Vision and with an open palm, pushed him into, like from the back, like pushed him from behind into the desk that Vision was at. And he, like, his face basically, like, hit the monitor or hit the desk or something to that effect. And that was after some kind of, like, shit talking maybe in the game, like some banter, as you've obviously seen. I'm sure it gets tweeted, clips of all sorts of shit gets said at that Dfrag LAN. Maybe it crossed the line. I don't know. Again, I don't know exactly what would have said. I think I heard there was potentially some slurs which may not be repeatable, like beyond "you're a fucking dickhead" or something like that. Like it was quote unquote worse than that.
Oh, I'm sure they said way more.
I'm sure they did. But whether or not that line was crossed, I can't necessarily say. But even were that line crossed, to then get into a physical altercation with another player is not necessarily ideal. So he was banned for 6 months, which is obviously really bad for Mindfreak. It means you're banned from any relevant Counter-Strike in Oceania for the next 6 months as that player, which was one of the key players in your lineup, certainly. And in doing so, he also kind of fucked his team out of potential chance of qualifying for the major. Again, like I said, I don't know that Mindfreak was really ever in purview of potentially making the major, but the fact that they lose Texta on day 3 of the LAN certainly did not help them.
In the very next map, Tux, the coach, like stood in and played on his settings and went 3-21, and they only lost 11-13.
Yeah.
So, like, if they had just had a guy, like anybody who could play the game, very winnable series for them. But yeah, the allegation is that the guy who gets a little bit upset and maybe a little bit toxic, someone said something to him and he couldn't keep his hands to himself.
Yeah.
Absolutely shocking circumstances unfolded before our eyes.
So I don't know what your guys' take is on this. I think for me, I'll just say, I do think it's absolutely unacceptable to be putting your hands on another player, whether or not it's a shove. Like there was obviously conversations of like, was it a punch? Because a punch is a bit different to a shove. And, you know, like you can maybe be like, oh, if he just shoved him, you know, like if you're walking past someone, you go, fuck you, man, like whatever. That's different to like literally fucking king hitting him in the back of the head. Like that's definitely different.
Yeah.
So there was that separation, I guess, where it wasn't like he literally fucking hit him in the back of the head or something like that. But you're still getting into a physical altercation because of words that were said. And, you know, I take a bit of an old school approach to this, maybe. You know, like words are words. I think there are definitely words which you probably shouldn't be saying in polite society. But if somebody calls me like something in a match of Counter-Strike, it's not an excuse to then go and assault them physically. Whether or not it was, again, a particularly dangerous physical assault or not is kind of the irrelevant point at this point. Like putting your hands on somebody else, I think the problem is you have to do something about this as Dfrag. I don't think any of them wanted to be in this situation. I don't think any of them expected to be in this situation. And ultimately, 6 months ban. Is it enough or is it too much? I don't really have a horse in that race. I think it's a pretty appropriate response from Dfrag, frankly.
See, from what I understand, no one got injured, right? I'm not saying...
No. I talked to Vision straight after, and he was like, fine. He was like, yeah, it was.
Yeah, okay. So I think 6 months is fine. Yeah. You know, bit of wrapping the knuckles. But look, here's the thing. Shit talking happens online. When I used to play in a local LANs and shit, dude, I was screaming some vile shit, I'll tell you that, all right? And I was saying it like multiple languages. I once went for a LAN in Chennai, which is in Tamil Nadu. That's where they speak Tamil, right? Tamil. I went to a friend of mine and I asked him, I'm like, all right, man, teach me the worst words that you know in Tamil. And because I usually just swear in English and we're winning, we're coming back and I start swearing them in Tamil. And these motherfuckers look at me like, motherfucker, like you don't know anything else in a language, you know, one of the most ancient languages in the world, and you just abusing us in it. And it's fucking great. You know, it's a mind game thing. You see the best teams doing it. Look at Apex. Yeah. Look at Apex at Valorant. So you're just going to go up to Apex and shove them or some shit like that. And they say some pretty rough stuff as well. So for me, the only thing I have to add to this is Texta, get a fucking grip, mate. Just get a grip on yourself. That's about it.
Yeah, I think it's all's fair in love and war, you know what I mean? Like, as far as I'm concerned, you can say what you want in the server. I think unless it's like, if it's like racially motivated, okay, then
in which case the TO comes in and then they can, ban you or whatever, right? But that's on the TO or the admin to take care of that, not for you to go up and punch them. Just report them to the fucking TO, dude. It's simple as that. Why do you want to get yourself into trouble?
Yeah, but I can call you a dickhead. I can call you a fuckwit, whatever, when I'm winning rounds against you, and then we can all shake hands afterwards, and you know.
Yeah, and they call you a cunt. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a term of endearment, right, down there.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
What I do appreciate, I mean, this is good again. Like, I just love looking at this thread and just seeing the responses because, like, I like it just,
It was,
you know what I mean? Like,
It's
and then this one from Gomez, like, it's just
so good.
it's so cooked. I mean, I don't know what this is all about, but
I mean, it's an interesting thing. I feel like with the professionalism of esports and stuff like that, you just don't see stuff like this anymore. But back in the day, man, like there, there was always stories of people getting into fist fights at LAN and all that kind of shit. We're talking like before CS:GO, really. I don't even have any memories of anything like this really happening in CS:GO. Like we're talking like Source 1.6 or even like in my case, like COD 4 Pro Mod or shit like that,
Yeah. Yeah, look, end of the day, I know we're obviously kind of like making light of this situation, but not cool at all. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. But we did make a couple of pretty good jokes on the cast after that, I'll just say. So that's really all that I'm going to touch on with regard to that one. Let's briefly bring it back to something a little bit more serious. Blast Open Rotterdam. We've got Tyloo and the Mongolz over there. Again, don't necessarily need to spend too much time on this one, but I think it's a little bit more interesting to touch on where Tyloo's at the moment because we haven't barely seen any of what they've played. They kind of threw this game a little bit against Furia. That overpass map was classic Tyloo fashion, let's say. They got it close, and then I think G clutched up like real insane style, and then they like lost to pistols or something in the very next round or something similar to that. So
and then it knocked out FaZe, but it's more about just looking at FaZe. It's the thing, if it's any other a top 8 team, top 10 team, I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. Look, it's a win for Tyloo, right? Yeah. But at the same time, it's fucking FaZe, and they've just been so miserable to watch. Look at Twist's performance this event, man. It's just so rough. Don't want to take anything away from Tyloo. I think this is what Tyloo are. They have the huge upset potential. Against Falcons today, I think they might have a chance. But that being said, it is going to be very, very unlikely if they're going to get the particular win. But still, yeah, for Tyloo, I think they have been looking good. I've been waiting to see Tyloo in an international LAN for a very, very long time, right? Yeah. They've knocked out FaZe. They had a close map against Furia. They've also kind of had the troubles, but I feel like it's good to see they didn't come and just shit the bed because they haven't played in a big LAN in a very long time. Also, new player Zero, he's got to get a little bit more accustomed to these sort of high-stress environments. So I think they're doing okay. I think it's a little too early to pass any harsh criticism, so to speak. There were mistakes made, for sure, but they are keeping the head above water, and that's all you could ask for, honestly.
I mean, I didn't get a chance to really watch these games, but from a stats perspective, it seems like Jam Young and Mosey are doing pretty well. Zero has a couple of good maps here and there. I've seen some highlights from Zero as well on Twitter and shit like that, which looks similar to the shit he's been doing in Asia competition here and there, but just about getting that consistency factor. And for me, like I saw that they will beat FaZe, and it kind of is like similar to like, we were talking about Semper Fi, like having a close game against Liquid back in that Pro League event. And I'm like, although this is out on LAN and it's Blast and shit like that. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't get as excited for when an Asian team is upsetting a team that's kind of struggling a little bit, but it is still like a fucking legit win.
I mean, VRS points is VRS points, right? Like,
yeah.
Where are they at? They got 99 points off of that game. That's the thing.
That's big.
It's like, yeah, maybe you're not that excited about it, but that is a lot of fucking points. That's almost as many as some of these teams got from the LANs, bro. Because there's just that delta between the two teams.
Even if they lose the Falcons, they lose 1 point.
Yeah. So, and they need those points. Obviously, they still aren't necessarily in a position where they're completely safe for sure in the VRS. So Tyloo's still fighting for it. I think they've put themselves in that hole just by not playing a lot of tournaments.
They have another LAN as soon as this one is. I don't know if it's a LAN. I think it's online. Where FlyQuest is playing as well.
Yeah.
That's their next event, April, the first week of April.
Is that the Gangkui Cup or something?
Yes, I think so.
Yeah. I've got a graphic for that. We'll talk about that in a sec, actually.
I mean, I'm even looking at HLTV right now. For context, it's the fucking 22nd of March.
Yeah.
And we've got a grand final of XSE going on in China between Linvision, Rare Atom, and also Mesa League is going on.
Yeah.
So, like, literally,
look at all these Asian
people were talking about the Dfrag, points farming and this and that, but like, this is what we're talking about when we're like, yo, chill out a little bit. Like
those fucking Aussies, man.
China and Mongolia is also, running these events. And even that XSE competition, that's on LAN, but there's like no prize money behind that almost.
Can I just show you something? I mean, these fucking Aussies just stealing the opportunities from the Huns. I mean, I can't believe FlyQuest made Huns lose to BMZ. and then Thunder mind controlled them to lose to Next Void. Like, these fucking Aussies, man. Like, honestly, it's just not fair. Anyways, that's an aside. Mongolz.
But yeah, Rotterdam.
Yeah, Mongolz. Mongolz beat Mouse. That's pretty cool. Then they lost to Vitality. I feel like it's just a standard day in the Mongolz' life, isn't it?
It's strange because firstly, they've never beaten Mouse, right? So it was a big mental block they overcame, which is really cool to see. But yeah, map 1 is fucking great. Super close, super exciting. Come map 2, though, that was just, I feel like, I don't want to take it away from the Mongols. I think they played a great game. We saw EWC Techno come to play, and holy shit, he could do no wrong. And it's so good to see that 910 gets a little bit of help because he's the only consistent factor in his team right now. And the fact that Techno just steps up, this is what we get. You know what I mean? This is what we get. Mazina didn't even have that much of a pop-off game. Cobra did his job. Techno was stellar, and 910 was what he usually does, and he just destroyed Mouse. But for me, this entire thing is about the Mouse crumble. Yesterday, they lost to 9Z. And a second map against Mongolz, they completely capitulated. They just got battered by Mongolz. So I don't want to read too much into it, but I feel like that's where Mongolz are right now, right? Again, Mara wasn't there. Mara isn't here for this event. And that's one thing that's been a problem for them, because when things spiral out of control, they don't call any timeouts at all whatsoever. And Techno said it himself, right, in an interview, where Mara's the guy, when things aren't going right, he's the guy who comes in and, gives his ideas as to what we need to switch up right now. So despite his absence, the fact that they're able to go to overtime on overpass default maps against Vitality, a map they've historically been pretty rough on, right? I think that's pretty cool. It's meant the Vitality very solid on as well, and they beat Mouse. So for me, I feel the Mongolz are... Look, they reach the playoffs at 2 events, right? They top 4 in Cluj, top 8 in EPL. They kind of struggled in the other 2 events, though. But if they're able to maintain this particular form heading into the major, it is, for me, a playoffs team, right? Because look at every other team and how they're struggling right now. Look at Spirit and how, this new iteration, apart from Dong, it just looks like a shit show. Falcons are still falconing out there. Maus are mentally just crumbling. And right now, Vitality is the only team that's far above everyone else. So in this current playing field right now for Mongolz, I think it's a great opportunity for them to latch onto, the top 5 spot, which I thought initially when Cobra came in was going to be impossible. So good signs for the Mongolz. And I still think they can potentially make it to the playoffs here, even if they lost Vitality. And who
they got to beat Liquid and probably Spirit back to back.
Dude, I think it's very, very fucking doable. Very doable.
Does it concern you a little bit that Blitz has fallen off, and his numbers are starting to look a little bit Advent-esque? Like these numbers, 0.41, 0.67, 0.45, 0.6, 0.69, like a lot of red, 0.3, obviously that's a 13-2 or 13-3 loss, but 0.82 over the past 3 months. This is the guy that people were like, he's the best fragging IGL 6 months ago.
He's really fallen off. And I wish I could say it's because of Cobra coming in, right? And obviously you maybe might be paying a little bit too much attention and not really paying attention to your aim, more like that could happen. But now you're 4 events deep in the season, right? I could also throw in a caveat that Mara is not there right now, so he's got to do a lot of the heavy lifting mentally, so to speak. But I feel like he's really tapered off, and if come the next event he still struggles with Mara sitting behind him, then I'm starting to worry a little bit. Because Blitz, you can't forget, up in the Mongolz, apart from Senzu, everyone is so up and down, but there would be moments of Blitz just come in and just take over the game, right? And they got a lot of very crucial wins because of that. And he is kind of their X factor, in all honesty. So him struggling like this is rough, especially when you have lost Senzu as well. So yeah, I agree with you. I think there's a kind of a worrying trend right now. But that being said, Jordan is very young.
Yep.
And I feel like it's just a bad stretch right now. I think he's going to bounce back.
Yeah. Look, I suppose it is what it is. We'll have to wait and see how it all plays out in the future. But I think at the moment, you can't really be too disappointed with the level that they're holding on to. I feel like I don't really have that much to say about the Mongolz at the moment, because it's just stagnation obviously has a negative context. When you say the word stagnation, it feels like it's a bad word. But in this case, a plateau. Yeah, it's just they're just kind of doing their thing. There's no big up. There's no big down. It's just there's another tournament for the Mongolz. What do you say? Really?
For all the Mongolz fans out there, that's why me being an Irish racist. Yeah, I just want to put it out there. When every other top team, not called Vitality, are on a bit of a downturn, like as you aforementioned, Mao's crumbling, Spirit not really figuring this shit out, Falcons just being fucking Falcons and throwing games they have no business throwing, FaZe non-existent, Liquid struggling. Right, this is the prime opportunity, and amongst all these teams, Mongolz are the one team who haven't tapered off. Everyone thought they would struggle after the Senzu incident with Cobra Zero coming in, but actually they're maintaining a pretty high, solid level overall as compared to a lot of the other teams. So if you're a Mongolz fan, you're seemingly pretty happy.
Yeah.
They're not beating Vitality. No one's beating Vitality. But apart from that, they are on a decent day, they have a good chance of beating almost every other team out there. And if you're a Mongolz fan, you should be very happy with that.
Yeah. All right, let's move on from that one and start to sort of wrap the episode up here. We've got a couple more topics quickly, one of which you sort of highlighted earlier on there, Bleh, was the Gangkui Cup, which is another one of these Chinese tournaments that anybody can play in if they want to. And specifically, it feels like it might be the one that will determine which team maybe takes that like 5th slot, because there's a lot of the teams that are in that race that are playing in this tournament. So depending on how this tournament actually plays out, obviously I've got Huns, Tyloo. Lin, I guess, I don't know. They might be playing something else. They're obviously in the Loop Cup final right now. I don't know. Again, I'm not like following the nitty-gritty necessarily of it, but FlyQuest interesting-ish to be playing in this. Like, are they still in Shanghai, I guess, if they're going to play in this, or whatnot? But the other teams, again, Semper Fi is actually in here as well somewhere. There's Semper Fi.
Yeah.
So Semper Fi still have ESL Challenger League and this cup, and then they're playing in a PGL qualifier as well, which is just before the cutoff date. So, you know, that's, I feel like, again, where for a team like Semper Fi, who currently, again, if we go back to HLTV, I think still, they're still in 4th. I feel like their destiny is kind of still in their own hands. People are sort of saying, oh, Semper Fi are done. They didn't do well enough at Dfrag. And maybe they didn't do well enough at Dfrag. But if they can actually do well in these tournaments, which again is a tough ask, but that's where you kind of justify this top 4 place. If you do well against the other Asian teams, they can maintain this position and also knock points away from teams like the Huns, teams like Chinggis Warriors, teams maybe even like FlyQuest. Like, there's a chance for them to do that. So I think this Gangkui Cup will probably be quite a deciding factor potentially in whether or not some of these teams make or break the major.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't really have much else to add about it. There's an interesting combination of teams, kind of similar to the CAC qualifier in a way to me. We do have some Australian teams, a mix of, SEA, Mongolian, Chinese teams. So yeah, I think that's going to really potentially decide some more, regional representation over at the major if these are kind of the make or break tournaments.
Yep, 100%. All right. Well, that is going to be pretty much it. Again, as far as the rankings update is concerned, we'll obviously see how this develops. But where do you guys think? What's your top 5? Let's close it with that. What's your top 5? Obviously, Mongolz, I think we have to say, definitely have made it. There's no question about that.
FlyQuest, Tyloo. Oh wait, are you saying like
the top 5 that you think
make it are going to make it?
I think Thunder are safe at this point. I think they make it.
I think Thunder, Mongolz, FlyQuest, Tyloo, and I think it's going to be a toss up between Semper Fi and Huns and Lin Vision.
Ranking. Let me have a look. Yeah, I think Mongolz, FlyQuest, the teams that I want. I'm not even going to look at the points. The teams that I want, it's probably Mongolz, FlyQuest, Thunder, Tyloo,
Rare Adam.
I'll throw a Huns in there. Rare Adam. Bro said Rare Adam.
Bro really said Rare Adam. Buddy.
Probably Huns. I like the Huns team on paper. They're just like, they continue to fucking edge me for some reason and randomly be shit. So
I mean, this is also the list of tournaments that are still yet to be played. Oh, that's not going to work. All right, we'll just do it like that. So we are here somewhere. What's the date? 22nd. So the Mesa League's done. So after that, kind of looks like Mongolia's more or less done. ESL Challenger Asia, that's barely going to give teams points. ESL Challenger OS is also barely going to give you points. So Loop Cup, which is happening today, that's the final. There'll be points on there. The Gangkui Cup, Euclidean Pinnacle of Battle, which is a LAN. That's what it says, LAN.
Where's Lin Vision at right now in the points? Because if they win this final against Rare Adam, they're going to get another plus 38. I mean, that's 38. That's not that much.
That's actually quite a lot, bro. That gets them into the top 5. That
Okay.
would get them in the top 5 because they'd go above Tyloo on the quick math side of things.
Well, they're already winning that final in XSC right now, and then you said there's another Chinese land.
There is the Gangkui Cup, which they're not playing in. The Euclidean Pinnacle of Battle. I don't even know. Let me see if I can quickly bring that up.
Well, there's a lot of Chinese events at the end. I think if there's like 3 Chinese events in a row, that's actually quite a lot.
Leveraging at 38 points. That doesn't pip them over Tyloo. What are you talking about, Jordan?
How does that not put them over Tyloo? Is my maths bad?
Yes.
They're at 1,075 plus 38.
They're 1,064 right now, from what I can see.
No.
Sometimes it looks different.
Are you looking at Are you looking at the projected VRS invites for Cologne, or are you looking at the current VRS ranking?
No, I think I'm looking at the projected one.
Yeah, no. Look at the VRS ranking right now.
1,075 right now. Yeah, that'd still be below Tyloo, right?
I mean, okay. I'm going to do the math on a calculator. So 1,075 plus 38 is 1,113. Oh, they'd be They would be 1 point below Tyloo. So they'd be like pretty much right there.
But then Tyloo will lose 1 point to Falcons, and they'll be even.
True. See.
True.
Now you're thinking.
I've run the numbers.
And what is there another Gangkui Cup? Oh no, that's the qualifier. There's the qualifier and then the cup, actually. So yeah, okay.
It's gonna be very squeaky bum. It's gonna be very squeaky bum time.
It is.
But I think looking at those like late Chinese events, that's probably looking pretty good. It depends. Like that's the thing where one of these Chinese teams needs to do well in like 2 or 3 of these events, or maybe Tyloo needs another win at Blast or something like that to be safe.
At least in HLTV, there is nothing else within after this.
Okay.
No, I'm sure these.
They withdrew for the Gangkui. I don't know about the other one.
These Asian tournaments probably aren't on HLTV yet. They always get added last minute.
It's only 10 days left.
No, they always get added like literally the day of, bro. I swear to God. I reckon they'll cover like the last like 4 matches or something. You know what I mean? Like that's how they always do it. So I think there's still a world where like I'm not going to say this for sure, but like I really wouldn't be like if I'm a Semper Fi here and I'm sitting on 4th, I'm not like, oh, we're safe because there's no matches on HLTV. I wouldn't take that as gospel for sure. I think if you're Semper Fi here, really like for me the conversation here is between like, I mean, Tyloo, I think will qual. I think they'll be fine. Like, I think they'll get points from one of these Gangkui Cups or something. It'll be whether or not, the question I think is whether or not Semper Fi does well in the Gangkui Cup and whether or not FlyQuest shits the bed. If FlyQuest doesn't shit the bed, they're fine. Tyloo won't shit the bed, they'll be fine. So the real question is, what happens with Semper Fi in this upcoming tournament? Do they win ECL Cup number fucking whatever it is? Probably. So they'll get a little points boost off of that. But really, it's going to be Semper Fi versus Huns, Linvision, Chinggis, because nobody else is really playing anything. I don't know what next word. Maybe are playing in Gangkui as well potentially. So yeah, it's I think for a battle for this one slot that Semper Fi is holding at the moment, in my opinion. But we'll see.
That's crazy. I honestly like if it does come to pass that there's 3 Australian teams qualifying for the major, that is going to be a little bit egregious.
What a co-stream opportunity that's going to be for
I'm going to feel pretty bad, especially after all the shit I've talked at this podcast.
No, but like again. That's not necessarily the Australian team's fault. Like, they played the tournaments to the format the same way that everybody else did, okay? And if you're the Huns and you go into this Mesa tournament and you lose to some bum Mongolian teams, it is what it is. Like, Semper Fi only lost to ThunderDownUnder, right? And if they qual as a result of that, whose fault is that apart from yours for not qualling in your regional match? Do you know what I mean? Like, end of the day, or if Tyloo doesn't make it, whose fault is it that you didn't play 2 months worth of games from, January to February? You've only just now in March started to play tournaments. Like, that's your own fault, right? So,
true.
I don't have sympathy if you miss out. I think you have to play the game, unfortunately, and that's just that's where we're at. And I think the Aussie teams have played the game. I think the Aussie TOs have played the game for the first time. By the way, this is like literally the first time that the Aussie TOs have actually locked in. TOs, I say TO, Dfrag. Is the only one. Whereas Mongolia has been running these kinds of events in the lead up to these VRS invite dates for 2 seasons already. China as well, and like ANZ's been like trying to jump on the back of that and like go to the Mesa events and go to the China events, but they have not done their own ones necessarily. The wildcard obviously at the start of last year, or invitational. But anyways, as an aside, that is all done pretty much. So nice episode, guys. Big episode. Oh, by the way, reload update. Yay, nay. Don't have to spend much time on it. Fan? Not fan.
I just don't care. Just don't really give a fuck, honestly.
You know what? I like it, and I'm going to put it out there. I feel like a lot of the so I've noticed almost everyone who like obviously all the commentators and everyone like, hey, it's an interesting change. It'll be fun, right? and everyone's, oh my God, you guys getting paid by Valve. I'm not getting paid by Valve, you fucking cunts. And the amount of times we've shit on Valve as well with some of the updates, right? We shit when we shit on them when we have to. And in this case, sure, no one asked for it, but no one asked for a lot of other updates as well, which turn out to be a good quality of life change as well.
Fucking nades breaking open smokes, bro, and fucking
exactly. And then the nade dropping thing, sure, it's something which was discussed a long time ago in a few posts, but it wasn't like a big thing that everyone was pushing for. They added it, everyone's freaked out. No one asked for incendiaries. People like people like Freiburg and Get Right, like, this fucking garbage. Worked out in the end, didn't it? Right. And here's the thing: I played about a dozen games since the new update came out, and I just had to be in the first few games a little cognizant of the fact, especially in some of the pistol rounds. I'm like, hey, just can't
reload your USB.
Reload. Yeah, but after that, dude, I have not had any problem whatsoever. And me being a 49-year-old man, if I'm able to remember and still frag out, you saw my frags, Pilski, so I was popping off right there. And having no trouble with ammo economy, then just fucking get good, cunts. I think it's a fine change. I think it's cool. The one change which I think no one's really spoken about much, but I think is worthy of a discussion, because I think there are pros and cons to this, is the lineup thing you can do on Valve servers now. So for the first 5 rounds in a game, you can have that,
that They show you the smoke lineups and stuff.
They show you smoke lineups and the flash lineups and the molly lineups, and you can even come up with your own custom lineups.
Config,
put it in that. Could the config put it in it? So I don't think it's possible in Face It, but for official Valve servers and Prem or whatever, for the first 5 rounds of a half, or for the game, I think for the half.
For the half,
you're able to have all these lineups ready now. I think it's good from the casuals POV, so people learn utility better, so your teammates get better. But also there's that that try-hard part of me is like, come on, man, like you just gotta give them freebies. It's like a Brim, that touchpad thing with smokes for Valorant, right? So that part of me, I don't like it. But also I can see why someone new is like, hey, this makes throwing smoke so much easier for me and for me to learn down the line.
It's only in competitive, I think. It's not in Premier, and it's certainly not in Face It. Like it's
only in competitive.
It's only in competitive. Yeah, it's not in the actual
sense,
ranking system matches. So I think that's fine.
I'm okay with that.
It's kind of like
I'm okay with
it's kind of like a little helping tutorial in normals or whatever. You know what I mean? So I think that's whatever. It's good. I think. I don't know how to fucking throw half the smoke. So yeah, it's useful for someone like me.
Good cunt.
But the thing is, like, I just can't be fucked to sit in the server for 3 hours and learn smokes, bro. Like I've got more things to do as a 31-year-old man than that, unfortunately. But I still would like to play the game and be able to throw a window smoke on Mirage. You know what I mean? Like, that's just life, unfortunately.
The most bitch-ass basic smoke.
Do you know what, though?
You say basic, though, but, like, back in the day when there was a jump throw plan in the config, my first national, I fucking threw a window smoke for my star player who had the best spawn. He buys an AWP first gun round T-Side Mirage. I missed the window smoke. He gets AWP'd. He goes on tilt for the rest of the game, and we get knocked out in the first game. So, look, window smokes matter, bro. Window smokes matter.
I just throw the top mid smoke on Mirage. Like, that's good enough. That'll get me out to the boxes.
I just insta-ban Mirage every time I play Face It in Asia. Like, you see a Mongolian 5-stack on Mirage, and no chance, brother.
GG.
No fucking chance. Semper Fi have no fucking chance against Mongolian 5-stack on Mirage.
All right.
So you gotta worry about Mongolian 5-stacks in AU Face It. You gotta worry about the Chinese exchange student 5-stack. That's the 5-stack you should be scared of.
Yep.
They will rip through you. Yep.
All right, let's wrap it up. Guys, episode 101. Thanks for watching. If you're still here, like, comment, subscribe. Do those things. buymeacoffee.com/Elfishguy. We will catch you in the next episode, which will probably come out after the thingo.
Let us know. Would you fight someone at LAN?
Would you? Yeah.
Let us know.
Who would you fight at LAN? And if you did, would you beat them? And would you open palm them, or would you punch them in the face? I don't know. Let us know. See you next episode.
I fight Donk.
Hey, thanks for watching the video all the way through to the end. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to Jean, who has been a big supporter of mine over on Buy Me a Coffee. If you'd also like to support me financially, you can head over to buymeacoffee.com/Elfishguy and check it out. See you in the next video.